Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the Holosun EPS carry. This is the first 30-second breakdown. That's where in the first 30 seconds, give or take, I gave you guys my exact thoughts on this product before we get into the full review. That way you can just stop watching because now you know exactly what I think about this, or you continue watching, find out why I say those things, and it does help out with the YouTube algorithm. So with the EPS carry, this has been really long awaited. I know a lot of people have been really interested in seeing this optic. So I just reviewed the EPS and the 509. This compares very similar to those in the fact that it's enclosed and it has a lot of the same features as that. So this is the smallest version of those. So you got the 509T, which is the biggest, the EPS, which is the middle child, and then now this is the baby, the EPS carry. This is a phenomenal optic. I'm really happy with it. I'm actually really happy with all of the line that Holosun has come out with recently. They've done a really good job. They've listened to a lot of what the customer base has been wanting. You got 50,000 hours of battery life. You have a solar panel backup. You have a battery tray here on the side. This fits the 507 and 407K footprint, so you can just replace it with those because it is the exact same optic except enclosed as the 407 and the 507K. This fits very flush with your single stack style firearms, so it fits a little bit better than the EPS. That was maybe one of the downfalls of the EPS, that it sits over. It is more flush with the full size, but now the EPS carry fits a lot more flush with these. This does come with its own adapter plate as well, so that is a nice bonus because you can put this on right away without having to figure out which adapter plates to put on. I personally went with a CHPWS plate so I could put it on this Hellcat, but it does come with its own. It has a shake awake feature and it has multiple different reticles. So you have the MRS, which is the multiple reticle system, where you have the 2 MOA dot and the 32 MOA circle, or you can go with just the 2 or 6 MOA dots, and it comes with green and red. So you do have a lot of options. You can get one without a solar panel if you want to go the cheaper route, and those start around $330, and then it goes up from there depending on where all you go. You can get anywhere from about mid 400s. So now let's get into my relationship with Holosun. They did send this to me. I did not spend my own money on it, so I do appreciate them for doing that. They sent it to me pretty early. They sent the EPS pre-release, so I was able to get that done and tested really early. They sent this one afterwards, so I'm going to be able to do a comparison video here soon for you guys to give you a better idea of which one to buy and which will be a better purchase for you and your gun. So now let's get into the full review and go over more detail of what I said and why I say those things. So this is a really good optic and probably the best on the market in my personal opinion for this style of gun, like your P365 XLs or the new X Macro or this Hellcat Pro. It fits the gun so well. It fits really flush on the sides. That was kind of the little downfall aesthetically for those of you that saw the EPS video, is it did hang off the sides a little bit. I really like the idea that you have a larger field of view, but this one just personally fits the gun much better. If you like the 407K or the 507K, you're already going to love this because this is basically that optic just with an enclosed emitter, so you get away from having the issue with the debris or dust and anything getting in that emitter and causing a problem. This being enclosed as it is solves that problem, and I think this is the way to go. I think everybody here in the next 5 years is really going to be switching to a closed emitter. We're going to look back and be like, why were we using open emitted optics, especially on guns like duty-driven or concealed carry guns? Because anything can be introduced to that emitter and cause an issue. So with these, you don't have that problem, and I think it is really going to be the future. So to be completely transparent with you guys, I've not put as many rounds as I normally do to test a product through this optic. And the reason being is because I have heavily tested the 509 and I've heavily tested the EPS. This is very, very, very similar. The only difference being it's a little bit smaller. So I really don't think I have to put over 1,000 rounds through this to really tell you guys, yes, this is a good or bad product, because I put thousands of rounds through the other optics and a couple hundred rounds through this one. So just want to be completely transparent. Normally put at least 1,000 rounds before I do a review, but I have not put that many through this one, but it is very, very similar to the other two that I have tested. So now let's go over some of those specs that we talked about in the 30-second breakdown. 50,000 hours of battery life is really good. You're going to have about 5 years of battery life, and that's at the lowest setting, so obviously you're going to get less than that. So if you change your battery every year or so, you're going to be just fine with this. You do have a side battery tray, so you don't have to take the optic off, lose your zero and re-zero and all that crap, and potentially strip out your screws, which is really annoying when you have to take an optic off and on. It just makes it easy because you can leave it on, zero it once, and then you're good to go to be able to replace back and forth, and you won't have to worry about it. Now, if you do have a problem with the battery, that's where the solar panel and the backup comes in, and you always have that as a backup option. I don't think it's a necessity. I don't have one on my EPS, and I don't think it's something you absolutely have to have. Some can argue that it's just one more thing to go wrong, but it is nice to have a backup just in case. But if you want to go with a cheaper option like the 330 and just get the single dot without the solar panel, is a really good option. It's nice to see that they give you different price points to work with. So talking about the footprint, this is the 407K and the 507K footprint, which I like the fact that they're they're keeping the similar footprints. I hate it when companies change their footprints completely when they switch optics, because then it just makes it confusing, because it's already really confusing to figure out which plates you want to go. I use a CHPWS plate, but they actually do give you a plate with the optic. I really like that, because that means when you receive the optic, when you buy it, you can actually just put it right on your gun and not have to worry about finding the right plates or ordering the plates separately and get everything in at one time. Everything just comes in your back that you ordered and you're good to go. So that is a cool little thing that Holosun does, and I like to see that they did that. There's a nice little feature on this one that the EPS and the 509 don't have, and that is the fact that it has little notches here for your back sights. Now that is kind of cool, because you are able to actually see through this and use your iron sights if you have to. It doesn't give you a ton to work with. It's not like you're going to be shooting super accurate at 50 yards. Is it possible? Absolutely, but at least gives you something to work with if something were to happen to your optic. And I like seeing little details like that with companies. That at least makes me know that they're thinking about little things. It doesn't take much for them to add that, but at least lets you know that they are trying to think of backup or contingency plans. And I really like having the ability to look through and still be able to use my iron sights. Even if it is a little bit, you're still able to use them. So it's kind of cool. Not sure why they didn't add that on the other ones. I don't know, maybe if the height was a little bit bigger that they didn't do that, but it was cool to see that they added it here, and it works really well here with my Hellcat. So like I said, I plan on doing a video comparing the EPS carry and the 509 to give you guys a really good idea of which one you should go with and what's best for the project that you're trying to build and your vision. Which one would I go with personally? And real quick, I'm just gonna go over this. Like I said, I'm gonna do a whole video on this, but I just wanna give you a quick clip it, I guess, of which one I would choose. If you're gonna do a single stack gun and you're really into aesthetics and you wanna make sure everything looks good, real concealable, easy to use, go with the EPS carry. That's what it's made for. If you wanna go with a larger field of view and you want a bigger optic, then just go with the EPS. Clearly the 509 will not fit a gun like this, so that kind of takes that out of the equation. If you're gonna do anything full size, the 509 would be my go-to. The EPS is kind of a weird animal. It's gonna be kind of the forgotten middle child in my mind. I could be wrong, maybe that will be the most popular one, but in my mind, personally, I think that's gonna be the one that most people aren't going to choose, because this is made specifically for these type of guns. The 509 is really made good for a full-size type of gun, and the EPS is kind of bouncing back and forth in there. So far, I think the EPS carry is the best choice for a firearm that is this size. So now this is the part of the video that I would usually go over cons. And again, just like the EPS video, if you've seen that, there really aren't any. The price point is really good for these optic. Holosun has put a lot of thought into these and given us a ton of options and everything basically I could want. I love the fact that it's enclosed. I love the size of it. The reticle choices are really good. I like the circle and dot, and I like the fact that if you get that one and you're like, okay, I'm not really feeling the circle dot right now, you just hold the minus button and it switches just a dot. So it's the best of both worlds, honestly. It's a little more expensive, but you can switch it to the dot if you really want to. If you are like me and just change your mind each day and you're like, I want to switch it up, hold that button and you're good to go. Or if you want to be weird, just run the circle, do that too. But really, I think this optic is the best right now on the market for these kind of firearms. There's a lot of options coming out. A lot of companies are really trying to take over this because everyone's really pushing red dots on your pistols, as you should, because it just makes sense. It's a lot better sighting solution. It's easier. It's more accurate. So I really like to see that Holosun coming out with all these options, and I don't see a ton, really, honestly, if any, cons with this system. Now, I talk a lot about enclosed optics and how this is the only thing I would go with for a duty-driven or a concealed carry option. Does that mean that your RMRs and other things like that aren't going to work? Absolutely not. Those are fantastic optics. I just think that the times are changing. Things update. It's just like 5 to 10 years ago, the Glock 43 or the Glock 26 was the gun to have. Now, look where things are. Look at the size of these guns and the capacity. I mean, this gun carries 15 rounds. The new X Macro carries like 17 rounds. I mean, it's insane what they're able to do. Times are changing. Things are updating. Things are improving, and that's awesome. So that's kind of what we're seeing here with these options. So are those open emitter optics going to work for you? Absolutely. They're still going to work. They've worked for years. There's nothing wrong with them. This, in my mind, is just a better option. I personally would rather have the emitter enclosed. You never have to worry about anything being introduced to that emitter. So that is my thought process with that. That is why I think this is the way to go in the future. If you personally already have an optic that is an open emitter and you're really happy with it, you don't necessarily need to spend the money and upgrade it if you don't want to. If you are in the market and looking to buy something new, I would just go with a closed emitter and not even worry about open emitter optics and be happy with this, because I think this is the best thing out there. Currently, as of the time of filming this video, I think this is one of the better optics. So this is kind of rare in my videos where I just sing praises constantly to something, but I'm really, really happy with this, and something that I'm really content, because I've been looking for a good optic for this gun, because I'm really satisfied with the size of the gun and the capacity and how I shoot with it. I'm very comfortable with this gun, and now that I have this optic, I'm really content with the whole setup. I've been looking for a good one. It came with the Wasp, had some issues with it. I took it off and I replaced it with this, and I have been happy since. I worked with the EPS for a while on here, was happy with that, but again, this size, it hung off a little bit, so this one to me just looks better, feels better, and I think the EPS will fit a better, larger gun. But so far, I'm really, really happy with this entire setup. If you guys are interested or have any questions about the EPS, check out that video. If you have any questions about the 509 EPS carry, please put them in the comments, and I will add those into the video when I'm comparing all of them and try to answer everybody's questions in that one video. That's always my favorite thing to do, is to be able to answer questions in a video previously to filming it. That way I can just answer them in the video and you don't have to ask later, and I can get as much information in one video as possible. As always, I hope this video was helpful to you to be able to make you make a better purchase decision. Maybe you decide this is the optic for you, or maybe you decide it is the optic for you. A couple of companies that support me in the things I do here, Howitzer and Brownells. I greatly appreciate both of these companies. They support me a ton in the things I do, and I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do here without them, so I really appreciate them. I definitely go show them some love. Howitzer is a clothing brand that donates 5% of proceeds to charity, which is fantastic, and Brownells is a company that I buy almost all of my accessories from. So go check them out. You can use code TA10 at Brownells and save on your order of $150. A couple other ways to help support my channel down in the description is some discount codes to help save you some money, and there is a link to my website. Those things do help out my channel, and I really appreciate you guys and all the support. Other than that, guys, thank you so much. Really excited to continue testing all these, and I'll update you guys if there's any further problems. I hope you guys like the short 30-second breakdown review of videos that I've been doing in the YouTube Shorts, just trying to get you guys as much information in different ways and platforms. I know sometimes it's hard to watch a 10-minute long video for all the information, so that's why I'm doing these 60-second reviews. If you guys like those, let me know. And other than that, thank you guys so much, and I appreciate you all.